Oi, what's up there? What's going on? Welcome back to the Agostinho Zinga Show, episode number 152 with me, your host, Agostinho. That's uno, cinco, dos. Good evening. It is good evening. I've come back from work early today, and it's a special in-between podcast because I've got some time on my hands in between coming back from work early, going for a run, and then going to DJ. I'm trying to fucking pack it all in. So I thought, you know what, whilst I've got like 45 minutes to spare, half an hour, 45 minutes to kind of like, ruminate around, why not record a quick podcast, put it up on there, just to keep the content coming, right? Because in an era where, you don't know what to watch and, algorithms are all messed up and discoverability isn't what it used to be, one thing that you can rely on, one thing that is so true: more content, more content, more content. Hope you guys are doing well and amazing. I'm doing fine. As you can see, it's the evening here somewhere. I've still got my glasses on because I'm black. And there's something about sunglasses that give me this shield, but also allow me to be myself, right? It taps into me. It taps into my my nature, right? I'm currently reading, or I finished reading most of the Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene, right? One famous Robert Greene, also familiar with that name. He's the guy that wrote the 48 Laws of Power, and in it he says that our very nature, right? We were from yesteryears. We were around the planet Earth, and we were susceptible to reacting, off the mark of something, right? Instantly, because we were around a harsh environment, right? That you couldn't take any chances. If you heard some rustling in the leaves, rustling in the forest or in the leaves that you were walking on, you need to jump or to run away because you weren't sure if it was a snake or it was an ant, but you couldn't take the chance. But now, in the world that we're living in now, Robert Greene argues that the world's a lot more complex than it was then. So you can't exactly react off emotion. You can't just go shooting from the hip. You have to take some time, pull away, and then make a decision. So, when people say the whole idea behind sleep on it, walk on it. Why do they say that? Because it helps. All right. Sometimes these old fables that get on our nerves, these things people said in yesteryears, they really bug us, but they kind of do work, man. So here I am now, hoping that I can fill in some time and get myself all inspired for my set coming up later on tonight at the at the Free Compasses at the at the Free Compasses in Dalston today, which is a big deal for me, man. It's a flipping big deal, to be honest. DJing today in Dalston, or tonight in Dalston. If you listen to this, it's going to be on the 1st of February. So if you listen to it afterwards, then, this is just me talking about it beforehand. But, it's been a rocky fucking road in terms of the stuff that I've been doing at work and outside of work. I haven't still figured out what exactly I'm going to do outside of work. I'm kind of doing all these other things, spreading myself thin, or trying to throw things against the wall, right? Doing a bit of writing here and there for a couple of websites, reading a bunch, failing to keep my blog updated. That's been, it's been the hardest thing in the last few years, actually. In all honesty, the hardest thing in the last few years has been for me to blog at least once a day. It's the hardest thing ever. And it's a tiny thing. It's probably similar to like meditation or doing 50 push-ups a day, right? It's so hard to commit to doing one blog entry a day. It's difficult. I triple dare you to start a blog and just write a blog entry once a day. An original thought, not like you saw something online and you're just going to share a video. No, an original thought, like something that you just thought about that day. Because we all thinking things, right? So you read an article, it made you think about something or whatever. Just try and write 250 words minimum, or let's say 200 words, right, a day. It's really difficult to do, especially if you want to write well, right? You're going to be quite critical of what you write. You're going to think what you're writing is probably shit. You're going to go over it again and again and again. And then by the time you realize it, you've kind of like so much procrastination and self-doubt has crept in. You're too scared to click publish. And that's been one of the hardest things I've been trying to do lately in the last few years, let's say. And I know, deep down, I kind of know that it's the reason why it's hard is because that's where my breakthrough is going to come through. It's going to come from. Not necessarily the idea that I'm going to write a blog entry and all of a sudden I'm going to become fucking, Shakespeare and shit, but I just think the practice of writing every single day and publishing, right? It's like the idea of like, startups, like, ship. I think that the idea of practicing every single day, publishing it, is going to lead to another breakthrough. But it's so difficult in the beginning to do, like anything in life, right? Something that you kind of like is going to really impact you, is going to give you a lot of value in the future. It's so difficult to get started that it's just, I don't know, man. It's just like that hump. But I know once you get over that first hump, you're fine. Like, nowadays, like I work out, I don't know, effectively, I work out a minimum of 3 times a week, right? That's a minimum. That's how I'm going to work out. Minimum, I'm going to go work. So some people can't even do once, right? Every month. Why? Because they haven't got over that little hump first. You need to get over that tiny hump, and then once you get over the hump, everything comes easy. But this writing thing has been so difficult, man. I've been smashing my head against the wall, and I've been finding it hard. And when I do write, I feel so much better. I feel amazing, man. It feels so it's so cathartic. It's so, I don't know. You just feel amazing, like being able to stare at a page. It have that flicking cursor, right, blinking at you, and then a few hours later or a couple of minutes later, however long it takes you to write, all of a sudden you've got like a couple of paragraphs of writing. Like, cool. Do you know what I mean? Like, you put it out, it's amazing, it's done. But I think that's where the breakthrough comes. I think probably that's why most people don't do. Hence why most people aren't achieving the things that they want to achieve, or reaching their dreams, whatever it may be. But I don't know. It's difficult. One step at a time. I'm gonna try. But the DJing thing's been going pretty well. It's picked up steam over the last few months. Everything been, like I said, it's one of the best hobbies I've ever had in my life. That's been great. People invite you to bars and pubs to play. They give you free drinks and they pay you. Like, it's like, what? Do you know what I mean? And for someone like me who likes to be social and quote unquote likes to be the center of attention, that's amazing, right? If it immediately taps into my narcissistic side, right? It immediately taps into the side of me where I feel like I'm the fucking Don Dada, which I'm probably not, which I probably am not, or I don't know. Yeah, I'm not going to be that modest. I probably am, but it taps into my need for constant attention. You can you can have a little dopamine hit of attention, boop, on a Friday, boop, on a Saturday, boop. It's pretty nice. So that's what I'm doing later on this evening. Like I said, it's a bit of a big deal for me going back to Dalston. I have a bit of a rocky road in terms of the whole promotion thing. For some people, it probably shouldn't matter as much as it did. But when you go through what I went through in that occasion, you feel like you've been discarded. You feel like you got chucked away. You feel like people chucked you on top of the scrap heap. You are done. You're not cool anymore. And then and then I had to kind of humble myself. And not react, not take it personally, and just understand, kind of like, again, take some perspective from it and kind of pull away and see it from, bird's eye view. And then I kind of understood maybe where that decision may have come from, and then having to kind of really analyze and examine why exactly I was involved in that kind of nightlife industry. Was it because I just wanted to be the center of attention? Was it because I really love the music? Is it because I really love to be in and around nightlife culture, and I want to partake in the nightlife economy, and I wanted to be an integral member of it? Or is it because I just wanted to have a good look on social and I wanted to look like I was important and cool? And I realized that no, I actually do love it, right? I actually got a lot of time for it. I actually like going to nightclubs and hearing DJs play, even when I'm not drinking, which is fucking weird, right? But then goes to show that you're actually in it for the love of the music and not in it for the drugs or the alcohol, which is amazing. So that happens. But then, of course, you have to start from scratch again, right? You got to start from the bottom of the ladder, like from the absolute bottom rung, and you got to kind of work your way up. But then, in this process, I started to realize that the bottom rung is as good as the top rung, because it's all amazing. There's no delineation for me, because if you're in it for the love of the music and you have an audience, even if they're not there for you, but they don't mind listening to what you play, that's as good as playing in a festival with a captive audience that's fucking hooting and hollering. Because it's the same sort of, it's the same thing. You're getting paid effectively to play music, other people's music in a bar or a pub. That's a win in itself. If you don't get featured on a fucking DJ list, or you're not in a festival, you don't get represented by some amazing agent, or whatever it may be, that's null and void. Those are like extra reward points, right? But the actual main prize is the fact that people trust you. And imagine the amount of DJs we must have in London. Scrap that. Imagine the amount of DJs we must have in East London. Just imagine the amount of DJs they must be in East London. Actual DJs, right? And then think about the amount of people, actual DJs in London, who actually play regularly every weekend. Then think of the ones that actually get paid to do it every weekend. It's probably a far smaller number than anyone could ever imagine. especially when you factor in the fact that most bars and clubs have been kind of affected by the new licensing laws, or some of them maybe having to close a bit earlier, so they maybe can't justify bringing in a DJ and paying them extra 50 to 100 quid. Then factor in the complaints maybe from local council. Loads of things probably like limit the amount of opportunities people have to play in places, right? And usually by and large, which is again a different kind of comparing it to Berlin, which is probably not a fair comparison, but London compared to Berlin probably has more places where people can DJ, right? In most bars and pubs in London, not all of them are equipped to accommodate a DJ. They don't have PA systems already inbuilt. You have to kind of bring it yourself. You have to, which is why in London we have more mobile DJs in that kind of conventional dad sense, right? The ones that have like all their lights and, you know, and they have massive logo on the front of their DJ booth and stuff. It's a bit corny, it's a bit cheesy. We have those kind of guys are prevalent here, but we don't necessarily have the kind of, you know, the grassroots kind of like record bag, go to a bar or pub and welcome some vinyls. That's not really a thing we have here. We have the kind of the opposite, right? We have the kind of, you know, you have to kind of, which then makes even, which again thinking about it even more, that makes it even more amazing, right? That I'm actually getting, you know, consistently asked to go and DJ in places. Because think about the amount of DJs you must have in East London. Think about the ones that are getting paid. Think about the ones that play every weekend. And then think about the bars themselves that are able to accommodate DJs. There's not that many, right? It's a small list. And most of the places that have people already playing there, if you've got a gig, the last thing you're going to do is fucking, you know, leave it. The last thing you're going to do is kind of drop it. You're going to keep it, especially if you're being able to get, if people are letting you play. So the availability, the slots that are free in places don't exist. So I'm just grateful, man. I'm really grateful. I think it's an amazing opportunity, and again, it's like everything's coming back full circle, right? Like being able to play there, even if I just did it once, I'll be happy. So I've already prepared a playlist. I've got everything sorted out. I'm gonna pop it all on this USB memory stick, as you can see there on the camera, right? That's my handy memory stick. That's gonna be the answer to all my fucking woes today when I'm playing, right? Nice and easy. No controller needed today. I'm gonna be mixing on a CDJ live. It's gonna be fucking horrendous, and it might be harder than usual, but I quite like the, you know, the scariness of it, because sometimes controllers are amazing to play with in bars and pubs, but there is a kind of, you know, you're not as probably engaged or locked in, because you know you have that kind of that blanket of like, you can basically pull any song you want out of your ass. Anything you can just pull it out of your ass. But when you're playing with the memory stick, you only have a real small selection of stuff to play, so you have to be a little bit careful in that regard. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I cannot wait. DJing tonight at the Free Compasses. Anyway, that aside, I've got a couple of things I wanted to mention here that I thought I saw that were interesting on the internet. Number one, Ariana Grande and her ridiculous tattoo. This just goes to show, innit, really, if anything, less so an Ariana Grande problem, and more so just like you know, the general what to say, lack of care. What would you call it? Just the general, you know, it's just, you know, that phrase vibe, right? People get annoyed about, oh, I'm going there for the vibes, right? There is a caricature when you hear somebody saying that phrase vibe, right? Oh, this is such a vibe. That's a vibe, right? There is somebody that you imagine in your head that says that, right? Somebody that's quite maybe surface level, right? Everything is just about vibe. It's about an ambiance, right? It's not necessarily about knowing anything in depth. It's just about surface knowledge. It's about, oh, who's that guy playing? Oh yeah, you know, he did that song. What song? They named the top three or four songs that person did, but they know nothing else apart from that. They don't know any of their deep cuts. They don't know some of their other production aliases. They don't know any of the collaborators they've been working with. They don't know anything else. What they know is the kind of, you know, the surface level info that can kind of get you to, you know, to kind of like look like you're a fan, but you're not really a fan. So the kind of same sort of idea, or same sort of kind of way of thinking, a vibe, right, kind of, you know, spurned its way into tattoo world, right? There was a period where people were getting fake meaningful tattoos in order to seem more like cultured, to seem more intelligent, right? To whatever it may be, and it kind of was getting a bit out of hand, right? People getting these dumb quotes that they didn't know what actually meant, getting these prophetic messages and trying to pretend like they were deep, whatever it may be. Then it kind of tailed back. Then it kind of like got a bit sensible, where people started getting really silly tattoos, right? Like really purposely shitty tattoos. Like think of someone like Jonah Hill and Post Malone, right? For instance, like they've got like ironically bad tattoos, right? Because they don't really take themselves too seriously. Blah 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 blah. It's all kind of like a tongue-in-cheek joke. No worries. So that kind of picked up steam. Now the third wave is kind of coming back around again, where people are like purposely getting stuff that's deep, But then if they get it wrong, they act like it was all part of the game. Oh no, that's fine anyway. That's what I wanted to do, right? And it's all part of fun and game. It's all part of the, oh man, it's not that serious, man. Life is whatever his thing is. And Ariana Grande has been the similar sort of thing in her regard, because with the release of her new song Seven Rings, she decided to get a tattoo that kind of tied in the whole idea of seven rings. I'm not sure why it's written in Japanese, but you know, the song doesn't really seem like there's any sort of Asian theme towards it. If anything, it seems quite trap inspired, but there's probably more layers to it than I know about because I'm not that intelligent. Anyway, she goes to get this tattoo on her hand, and which is interesting. Number one, it's she gets to represent the seven rings thing. She gets a tattoo in the inside of her palm, like top like left, I don't know, left hand or something. I got up here on the screen. That's what it's essentially she got the first time, right? She got this tattoo, and it's meant to read in Japanese kanji. It's meant to read, like, translating to English. It's meant to read seven rings. But then of course you shared it on social, and of course, like, most likely, you know, not of course, but you know, if you're not that interested in what you're getting tattooed on yourself, like, deeply, then it's likely that you're going to run into some mistakes, right? Even from the artist side or your side, stuff happens, right? So, and I'm sure the tattoo artist maybe just, like, you know, probably was so captivated by Ariana Grande's beauty and just forgot a certain one or two characters. So when she shared it on social, a user on Twitter kind of shared, I'm assuming a Japanese girl, called Yimi Yamamitsu, said, oh, she saw a screenshot of Ariana Grande's tattoo and said, oh, why? How? Now Ariana Grande tattoo reads Japanese BBQ finger, because I think originally she wrote a tattoo and it said, I think, Japanese BBQ. So then she tried to get it edited and tried to get it redone again, because I think the guy forgot something. Yeah, which is basically. So the guy forgot a character, tried to get it redone again, and now it says Japanese BBQ finger, when instead it's meant to read seven rings. And it just goes to show, just how much people don't care, right? So this is meant to be a deep tattoo, and then she tweets later on, indeed, I left out the whatever symbol, which should have gone in between. It hurt like fuck and still looks tight. I wouldn't have lasted one more symbol, LMO. But this spot also heals a ton and won't last. So if I miss it, I'll suffer through the whole thing next time. It's like, so she says she originally left out the characters because it was hurting, but it doesn't matter anyway, because it's gonna rub off later on because it's inside the palm. It's like, come on, Ariana. Come on, you just forgot, man. You just forgot. The artist forgot. You thought it looked sick, and then I still think it looks tight. So what would you call this? Is this cultural appropriation? Like, what is this? Because I don't even get I don't even get why it's called Seven Rings. It's Seven Rings, the song that she's got, but it's to do with Japanese characters. I don't know why. What's that about? Can someone answer? Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just a funny individual, a funny girl this lady is. But yeah, there we go. Ariana Grande's got a new tattoo that now says Japanese BBQ finger, which is, you know, probably very apt for where we are in the current tattoo world. But it's interesting though, isn't it? Being a girl like, but I guess if you're Ariana Grande and you've got the sponsors that she has, maybe it might hurt you to have like a sleeve or to have something on your arm or your back. So maybe a way to kind of get the tattoo on yourself is maybe the inside of your palm, because it's quite a strange place to put a tattoo, isn't it? Especially for somebody that hasn't got that many tattoos, right? I'm assuming, I don't know, maybe she just have loads of, I don't know. But to get a tattoo to put in your inside palm is a bit a dubious place. But I'm assuming, you know, she's a big mega star, so, and her sponsors probably wouldn't be too happy if she suddenly got a neck tattoo, or like that bloody, you see that girl with the fucking Harry Styles tattoo on her face. Now that is something, right? Where is she? Harry Styles tattoo. Where is she? Some girl called Crystal something, right? What's her fucking name? Oh, where's that? There's a Kelsy Karter, right? So this girl called Kelsy Karter is supposedly meant to be she's meant to be one of Fingers Majiggy's biggest fans, right? What's his face? Harry Styles from One Direction. Who I'm surprised has this kind of effect. Maybe it's just me. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised. Should I be surprised or not? It's Harry Styles in it, and it's a big fucking deal. But I'm maybe surprised that Harry Styles has this kind of effect on like grown-ups, because this girl isn't like, she's not 17 or 16. You know what I mean? She's like 20, 21. But I'm just surprised that he has that kind of effect fandom on people that young, because I understand it for like the teeny boppers who are kind of fans of One Direction, but I didn't know it would be that, or even the ones that kind of aged out with Harry. Because imagine if you're fans of Harry from when you're a teenager and he becomes like an adult and does his own thing. I could understand kind of like developing that fanship or maintain a fandom until you got older, but it wouldn't be the same with the same sort of fervor, the same sort of intensity, right? You wouldn't want to go and get a tattoo of his face on your face, for instance, right? But this lady, Kelsy Karter, said, what? Hold my beer. So this girl, Kelsy Karter, has a fucking tattoo of Harry Styles. And I think she mentions it, right? How I rocked the entire world for $300, see? And it gets, oh, Jesus Christ. But anyway, let's just zoom in a bit. So this lady decides to get a tattoo of Harry Styles on the side of her face. And at first, everyone thought it was fake, but now everyone knows it's real. And it seems like she just got it purposely for attention, right? Because she's kind of an up-and-coming singer herself. She's trying to make her way forward. She even has a song called Harry that maybe ties into the whole fandom of being a fan of Harry Styles. And it's just like, you know, like, where are we now with social media? Where kids or young kids who want to get involved in the entertainment business feel as if they have no other choice to get attention or to get the eyes of the world on them and what they're doing, right? Other than kind of do these outlandish things, these outlandish kind of like, you know, moves in order to kind of get their eyes on top of them. Whether you're a bunk gang and you go and run into Dunkin' Donuts and steal a whole rack of donuts, or whether you're Takeshi 69 and you dye your hair rainbow and you go around trying to start fights with gang members all over the United States, or whether you're this girl and you decide, you know what, I'm a big fan of Harry Styles. Harry Styles is well known. I'm going to get his face on my face. But of course, portraits, illustrations are really hard, or, you know, self-portraits are really hard to kind of like do in tattoo world. I'd assume the kind of line out, you have to be a fairly competent tattoo artist to kind of get it right. And unfortunately, the tattoo that she has of him on his face doesn't even look like Harry Styles. It looks nothing like him. It just looks like some other guy. Like, you'd never think that was Harry Styles unless you kind of saw her face and knew who she was. But that's intense as fuck to get your first tattoo, right? Or your first like kind of major big tattoo and get in the side of your face, just so you can become a viral hit. And now it looks like she's got a video, which we're going to watch now, because, you know, what else better things have we got to do today? She's got a video out now talking about how she did it and how she kind of duped us all into believing into what she did. And I'm hoping it's a prank and she kind of lied and all of it, but I'm assuming not. I assume it's going to be some convoluted story about how much he means to her, and, you know, it's your own artist and things that you, I don't know. I've just got a feeling it's not going to be a cozy story in this regard. But let's get it up on here and we can hear what Kelsy Karter has to say about getting a tattoo of Harry Styles on her entire face. Let's load it up here. Pause it. There you go. Open onto YouTube. Let's see what she has to say here. God almighty, it's gonna be bad, isn't it? I know. Okay. Let's go. Oh, I knew it. Self-pity, and it started. I was going through the hardest time of my life. Oh, the self-pity started. We don't care, do we really? But hey, let's go. Cool, let's do this. Here we go. So let's see this. So it reads here. I'm gonna read the text in case you guys listen to via the podcast. But I recommend you watch the video just so we can watch this along together. It starts with saying, in April 2018, I was going through the hardest time of my life. My dog Diva died. My relationship ended, and the last thing I wanted to do was write another sad song about it. And saw Harry on my lock screen and said, let's write a song about him instead. Cool. So she's got Harry Styles on her lock screen, so we did. They wrote a song about Harry Styles. A week later, we made a music video for $300. Well, that's quite a good budget for a music video, right? I'd assume. Then we showed it for 6 months and wrote the rest of the record. She's actually a real musician as well, which makes it even more crazy. The new year came, Harry's birthday was around the corner, it was time, but how are we going to cut through the noise and get noticed? After weeks of going through back and forth, arguing, debating, crying and yelling, right, with her friends, her fucking friends. Jesus Christ, when people want to do stuff, innit? That's what, when you hear of when the whole Takeshi 69 thing was happening and people were getting on top of academics and saying, he should have been telling him to kind of chill out more, his friends kind of let him get out of control, blah blah blah. There is something to be said for, I think sometimes people overestimate just how much influence they have on their friends, especially their friends who are a little bit cuckoo to begin with. You don't have that much influence. If anything, if you're someone's friend, if your friend is cuckoo and they're hell bent on doing something, and you are actively trying to dissuade them from doing it, more likely than not, that's going to give them more resolve to do it. If you just ignore them, they're usually, lacking their attention anyway. That's why they want to do that thing. They're going to feel even more bummed out that their actual friends don't want to pay them any mind, and they're going to just drop it. But the more you kind of fight them, they're going to be like, hey, you know me the most because you're my friend, and you still don't even trust me or believe in what I'm going to do. Fuck it. I'm going to do it now. It's a weird logic, but honestly, I think that's what actually happens. Like, some people think, oh, why didn't their friends say something? No, trust me. Their friends are tired of their shit. Their friends try to tell them not to do stuff because they don't think it's a good idea. But sometimes you have that one friend in your group, and that's the thing people don't realize. Like, we all have those friends, but on social, people like to pretend like they don't. They probably tell their friends are perfect, all that sort of malarkey. But we all have friends who are just like batshit crazy, but we love them because they're batshit crazy. And the last thing you want to do is change your friend to be like you, right? You kind of appreciate your friend because of what they bring to the table. So if they're batshit crazy friends and something batshit crazy, the last thing you're going to do is kind of dissuade them, because from years of experience of being their friend and being in an actual friendship, that the more you try to dissuade them, the more they're going to dig in. They're going to dig their heels in. They're going to double down like, we've seen nowadays with politics, and they're going to carrying on. Anyway, so they were yelling and arguing about how to promote this song about Harry Styles, and they wanted to break through the noise of social media. And here, let's see what happens. And a lot of yelling. And so much yelling. So they're still arguing about how to do this, and then they finally decided. Tattoo on the face. What would the rock legends that inspired me have done in 2019? That is a mad psychology. Let's tattoo Harry Styles' face on my face. To pull this off, we needed a celebrity tattoo artist to make it look real. Okay, so it was fake. So we called Romeo. So it was all kind of a convoluted plan, I guess. He traced Harry's. Okay, there we go. That's quite clever. Then she got me. Harry Styles. He traced Harry Styles' 307 cover and applied it to my face. Then a special effects makeup artist did her thing to make it look real. Okay, interesting. By the way, we know it looked ridiculous. That was the point. We snapped that photo, shot some B-roll, and prepared for our lives to change forever. Quite clever. Really, really clever. It was Saturday night. I did a quick 10-minute meditation. Then at 8:07, it was go time. I woke up next morning. Our plan was working. Great. The photo was everywhere. What the fuck? But none of you knew that was coming next. At 9 a.m. Monday morning, Billboard announced the release of my video and single, Harry. That's when things really took off. Every publication news outlet in the world covered the story. The song, I had your attention. Smile wink. Kristen called and said TMZ was looking for me, so we went to my manager's to hide out for 3 days. My friends and family were freaking out. We got calls from talk shows, radio stations, YouTubers, record labels, and every other human being ever we met. Everyone wanted to see my Harry Styles tattoo in person, so we attempted to put it back on.
Like Harry.
But it turned out even worse than the first one.
Oh baby, I'm gonna make you love me.
And then it wouldn't come off.
Are you taking it off again?
And it was time to let the world know our secret. The tattoo was not real. I love that Harry has introduced The Rock to a new generation of fans. Plus, he's nice to look at. Okay, so everyone got duped, including moi. I got duped. I didn't even know this was true. So you see my live dupe face, and I gotta say, I don't think I'm entertained. Number one, I don't think. This is weird to say. This comes just off the back of it, right? I don't think duping the public is worth the squeeze. I think when people feel like they've been had, especially with something like this, maybe the reaction is going to be it's not going to be what you intended it to be. You're going to get quite a negative response because people are going to feel like they got hoodwinked, right? In one sense. On another hand, sometimes I think going to that kind of length just to get the attention on your artistry probably says more about your artistry than it does about your abilities to market your songs. because I think, you know, by and large, it's quite a clever guerrilla marketing tactic. But there is something disingenuous. There is something ultimately quite disingenuous about the act, of course, because, you know, it's a dupe effect. But also there is this idea that, you know, if your music was good enough, you wouldn't need to do this. But then I'm sure her team would argue and say, Agostinho, you're wrong. Because in the world that we live in now, she says she's quite a talented musician and the song that played in the background sounded quite cool. How else am I meant to break through? I don't have a backing of a record label. I'm not in rotation at major radio stations. How do I get through without having to pay exorbitant amounts to an agency to kind of get me around there? And with a small team to direct a video for $300 and to get all that attention off the back of it, pulling favors from people that you know, I think that's quite clever. But again, I just don't know whether or not it's worth it in the long run. That's the thing I'm saying, because you have to make sure your music is top notch to do what you did there. You can't just do that and then have subpar music, because people instantly turn you off. Like, once you have your 5 minutes of fame, you kind of have to keep bringing it. You can't then, because then what happens then after this, right? You follow up with a song. Do you have a plan in place, like 6 weeks to 6 months to a year of back-to-back, like, not marketing tech activations, but, you know, what do you do after that? You can't just be dropping songs on SoundCloud, uploading them onto Spotify. You have to do something a bit more than that. And that's why it kind of gets a bit dicey, I think, in my experience. But again, I'm not sure what the public thinks, because I've looked at someone like a 6ix9ine, and I think he continuously kept with the antics. He didn't stop off. He didn't let off. No matter who spoke to him, no matter what OG had something to say in his ear, he just consistently kept coming with the drama. And he kept putting out music, and no one seemed to mind, really, by the most part. If anything, the thing that really fucked him over, 6ix9ine, was just the gang affiliations, right? When he started to get a bit crazy with the gang affiliations, of course, the supposed hits on fucking Chief Keef and all those kind of guys didn't help matters either. But if you just would have kept the trolling, the wind-up merchant stuff, right? Even just going to Chicago at 4 a.m. in the morning, he would have been okay. But the moment he started to kind of veer off into the kind of confrontational guns, robbing people in the street and shit, that's when it kind of got a bit too crazy. So maybe there is something to be said for that lesson learned. And if you're an artist, if you could just garner the public's attention without kind of like crossing the line, it could work in the long run. Maybe it could work. Maybe she could then have a successful career going forward, because you look at that kind of yodel, who's that yodel boy? That when I was doing that thing in the supermarket. Who knows, man? Maybe that's maybe that was all a big marketing ploy. Someone decided to like have him stand in the middle of an aisle of a supermarket. He sung a song, and then it went viral. And all of a sudden, you know, a few months later, he's booked at Coachella. You know, now he's touring the country for the most part. He's always playing in places. So maybe this is going to help her just get a gig, and she might end up getting booked for a couple of festivals and stuff that she wasn't getting booked for previously, which again, maybe it's worth the squeeze. But I just don't know. I just don't know if I want to be remembered as that. But again, that being said, it's the internet. Do people remember anything? I don't know. Do you remember what you saw last week virally that hit? Probably not. There's always a new kind of cycle that comes in. So by the time next week comes around, maybe people would have forgot about that stunt she did with a tattoo on her face, and she'll just become like a conversation in current culture anyway, and people just continue on. But I don't know. I guess it helps that she has something to sell. She has a product, a service to give. Because I think of that girl that got Drake tattooed on the crops of her forehead. You remember her? We didn't really hear much about her afterwards. I remember Drake had quite an angry reaction. We saw the tattoo, of course. The tattoo artist kind of got a little bit of hate online too for doing it on the girl's forehead and shit. But we didn't really hear much from her either. And I think I do remember hearing something along the lines of that she was a little bit mentally unstable herself. Yeah, so let's see what happens then. Let's see. But maybe Kelsy Karter works for her. Again, she's getting free promo from me. Free promo from me, as if I'm helping anything. But yeah, I guess the more people make videos about her, the more people talk about her on social, and eventually it's going to pin back to her music, and she'll be fine. At the moment of talking, this video was released today, actually. No, yesterday, and it's only got, see, the reaction hasn't been that great. Look at it, it's got 856 likes and 397 dislikes. So yeah, the comments aren't that great. In general, some of them are saying it's genius. Some say people are saying they disliked it immediately. So let's see a top 5 comments here. What they're saying, right? These are the top 5 comments on this video. To make it look real, we needed a celebrity. Someone says here, we needed a celebrity tattoo artist. So we called Romeo. Literally, literally how I knew it was fake. I just didn't believe that Romeo Lacoste would ever do something like this. Cool. That's one suggestion. Good observation. Another person says, so the moral of the story is nobody did a PR stunt for attention. It worked. And now she has more attention for lying than for her talent. That's what I'm saying. Another comment, number 3. Okay, but honestly, this was genius. I do agree with that. Another one says, great way to make a lot of people dislike you immediately, which is true. And another one says, so basically you proudly admit that you use Harry. So the reaction is not as great. It's probably split, right? It's probably 50-50, which goes along with the rating on YouTube, which even if you pay attention to that, it'll matter. But it's quite 50-50 split. Not everyone kind of buys into that being a good thing. But again, I just don't know if kids care, man. I think she doesn't care. She probably thinks all attention, regardless of how it comes about, is good attention. I'm not necessarily of that thinking. I think it's probably a bad idea in the long run. Having people dislike you because of a stunt you pulled, as opposed to your actual music, isn't probably the best way to start, especially when you're up and coming artist, maybe, right? You're kind of starting on the wrong foot. But hey, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's all a question that needs to be answered by people probably a lot more smarter than I am. But, let's not waste any more time on Kelsy Karter because, she's already gained all our time already. Yeah, she doesn't even have that many subscribers either, 5.3 thousand. So I don't know. But it's interesting because, those girls that go on like Dr. Phil and they go on there and kind of cuss out their family. And then they kind of seem to garner all this attention. And they try to turn that into big bucks, right? I think of fucking Bad Barbie as being a good example. How did it work for her? Because she was quite unlikable on the TV show, right? Of Dr. Phil. She's kind of grown up a little bit more. And people tend to like her a bit more now. And her music isn't that bad, to be honest, for, considering how annoying she was on the show. She's kind of growing up in front of her eyes. But how did she turn it around? I wonder. Because she was quite unlikable on social. Everyone kind of disliked what she represented, how rude she was to her mum on TV, her attitude, how confrontational she was. She was so aggressive and wanted to fight everyone, remember? How about that? Right? All that shit, right? But somehow she was able to turn it around. Where now, I've seen videos of her touring and performing in clubs and stuff. She's got records with quite a few big rappers. She comes across pretty cool online, apart from, her other skirmishes she might have had here and there, but I don't know. I don't know how she was able to turn it around. So maybe if you're Kelsy Karter, you're looking at it, you're thinking, okay, even though people might dislike me now, it will eventually cool off, right? And if you can consistently, and if you can maybe present a different face, if she can maybe start vlogging on YouTube and shit, because I know a few of her friends are YouTube vloggers. If she can do that, then maybe it might turn back around. And if her music is good, and people get to know her personality, and she has an interview with somebody who people like or rate, and she gets grilled a bit and people come to see who she is, maybe it could work. But again, I don't think that's for me, it wouldn't be a tactic that I would kind of try to do in order to kind of gain attention. I'd maybe try other things, but again, I'm not an artist, I don't know these things, so maybe they are more smarter than I am, or much more smarter than I am, for lack of a better phrase. But yeah, I think that's half an hour. That's a good probably time to end now at the moment. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Agostinho Zinga Show episode number 152. This has been a little quick, sample one just to kind of get my feelings out there before my DJ gig later on tonight in Dalston. As always, thanks a lot for tuning in. And if you want to click more information regarding me, check out my link below in the show description, agostinhozinga.com. Yeah, agostinhozinga.com. How can you forget your own URL? It's like forgetting your own mobile phone number. That doesn't make no sense. But how many people actually remember their own mobile phone number? Do you know yours? Exactly. Anyway, well, thank you for tuning in to Agostinho Zinga Show episode number 152. It's been amazing. It's been a good time. I'll see you guys again next week for another episode. Whatever you do on the weekend, have a good time. Take care of yourselves and all that malarkey. Drink some water. Keep an eye on your wallet and make sure your friends know that you love them. Peace.